Hello, welcome to another Sonic Lab. I'm here with Cenk from Elektron, who is aka Dataline, who does all that great stuff on Elektron gear. You've come along from Elektron's point of view to show us the analog heat,
yes.
Which is, what is it exactly?
Well, analog heat is an analog stereo sound processor. So you have 8 different circuits here, which you can warm up your audio, add some distortion, a bit of overdrive, or completely destroy it. And you have 8 different characters, and that is 8 different circuits here.
So that's actually analog circuitry doing
yes,
that? Okay.
Yes, so you have different characters to give different enhancement to your sound. And that is followed by an analog multimode filter. You have low pass, high pass, band reject, peak, and some other modes. It's 12 dB. You also have 6 dB of low pass and high pass. So you have 2
and
low
it's
pass and
resonant as well, right? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, and that is followed by an analog equalizer also. So that's how the signal path goes through the character section, through the analog filter, and through the equalizer. And it's 100% analog signal path. And on top of that, you also have digital elements of an envelope follower and also an LFO. And you also have a USB connection, which is for Overbridge. And yeah, that kind of sums the box up in a nice little...
so it's kind of like a programmable analog distortion stroke processor, right?
Yes, that's right. And it's stereo as well. So it's a stereo analog processor.
I mean, I guess the best thing, I mean, there have been demos and lots of artistic videos to describe the kind of sense that you get from it. So maybe we can have a listen. Have you got something you can play into?
Yeah,
so
sure.
We can just take a listen?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I've got the octatrack coming into the input of the heat. And I've loaded up some various sounds in here so we can listen and get a flavor of what it sounds like. So here we have an 808 beat. It's actually recorded from an 808 as well. It's not an emulation. So there it is. And now I'll turn the active button on. And it's set to clean boost, which this character is a reminiscent of like, it basically gives you like a clean signal through the analog circuit path. And if you put the drive up, it kind of is like a bit like overdriving old mixers.
Right.
Like, so you get that kind of...
Just a bit of, a little bit, not just a hint.
Yeah, exactly, just that, yes. Yeah.
You can hear it there on the...
Yeah, but this can be actually used for like if you set it to drive to like around 0 and you have the wet level and the dry level to full. This is a good way to just have filter and equalizer to your sound. So this is a great way to actually boost your sound altogether. And maybe use the envelope for like, for example, let's try to use it as like a bit of a compressor ducking effect. So if I set it like this,
so the envelope analyzes the signal and then applies.
Yeah, let's do that. So here you can see the signal coming in, and if I drop the threshold level, so now you can hear it, and then you have like attack and release for the envelope, of course.
So that's adding a bit more snap to the...
Yeah, exactly. And then if you add some more overdrive drive to this, yeah. And the envelope also offers you a filter, so you have a bass and width, which is essentially a high pass and a low pass. So you get to choose which frequency that the envelope is going to react to. So now I've decided only for the kick levels, for example, the low end of the spectrum.
Oh, right, so it's frequency dependent as well.
Absolutely, yes. So let's put it down. So only the envelope gets triggered with the kicks.
Right.
So I could like change it to maybe... And now the snares are getting affected as well. So it's kind of like you can replicate a bit of a compressor effect on it. And what I really like is you can actually assign the filter to it. And get these type of nice.
Well, that's really sort of drippy.
Yes. And notice we haven't even gone into the other characters, which we should now. Yeah.
So I mean, because when I first saw this, I was thinking, oh, does it do that kind of like, you know, the classic path for an 808 is Pultec, you know, LA2A, that kind of thing, and you're getting that kind of sears and stuff, but it's a different thing. But was that the idea, to create something that would emulate classic analog paths and give you that drive and distortion that you can get from that side of things?
Well, yes, actually we looked at a lot of different ways that audio has been distorted in the music history, like such as tube emulation, tape saturation, driving old mixers, and then we came up with our favorites, and hence now we have 8 characters to, you know, emulate those type of distortions in an analog circuit.
So has this got any heritage in common with the recent, you know, like the analog 4 and the analog rhythm, any of that kind of filter circuitry, any of that driving distortion? Because that was kind of a big part of that sound too, right?
Yeah, yes. I mean, what I can say is that the filter is kind of like similar to what is on the rhythm and the 4, but of course it has been redesigned and changed to suit this type of box. And if you ask my personal opinion, this filter has been a great achievement. I think I am really fond of how it sounds. Another neat cool thing is that you have a dirt parameter here, which
careful how you say that.
Dirt. Dirty. Yeah, that's okay. And then so you could, like, with this parameter, you raise it.
So it's pre-filter drive, is it?
Exactly. Right. Yes. That's the easy way of saying it, but the way I put it, I guess, it's like
sounds better.
But let's have a look a bit more audio examples. So I want to reset the whole preset, so I will press no and then like this. So now it's like a neutral setup, and let's see here. So let's look at the saturation circuit now.
So I'm guessing with here you've got a wet level and a wet mix, so you can get really, it's like parallel processing effectively, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now you can hear the saturation kicking in, but I've got the dry, wet knob to like
so you're just listening to wet.
Yeah, so I can have like a perfect mix of what I want. This is like dry signal, and now that's the wet basically. And maybe add some filter and equalizer, and now you get some interesting sounds. And use the envelope follower for the filter. And let's change the. Yeah,
that's changing the character of the sound. That's almost like a steel drum there,
yeah.
Tom.
And now you can like test A/B like pressing the active button. And this is the original. Now this is giving a very nice edge to the sound, I think.
So the analog heat being the kind of driving factor, isn't it? The fact that you can warm it up and dry, it's varying degrees of distortion and knocking with the sound.
That's exactly. Yeah. I mean, right now I'm just applying a very touch, but you can go crazy and like just totally destroy the sound. So let's skip to the next one, which is the enhancement character, which this is kind of a. We took notice of like the tube,
right?
How the tubes would warm up the sound and enhance the sound, and so you can hear the tone is quite different now.
It gets more sort of fuzz.
Yes. And I just want to play around a bit more. Let's see. I really like the dirt parameter. Kind of pushes the sound a bit more into the filter.
Definitely, it's doing something very pleasing to the bottom end as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because you have this awesome equalizer, and I think this is. Yeah, if I
are the frequencies fixed on the EQ, or can you change them?
The equalizer frequencies are fixed depending on the character that you have selected. Okay. So you cannot go in there and change the frequency of the equalizer, but each character has a different set of frequency response for the equalizer. So that was the enhancement one. Let's go to the next one, which is the mid drive, which obviously it exaggerates the mid frequencies of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's got a bit more of a guitar cab kind of vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah. Another thing that I'd like to show is that the envelope is assigned to the drive, meaning that I can simulate how the drive parameter is going to react to the sound.
So let's based on the level of signal coming in.
Yes. You can hear the difference now. So it's like it's kind of fading in the drive, and so now everything is distorting, but when the kick comes in, it kind of gives it a bit of a room.
Makes it breathe a bit, yeah.
Yes.
It's almost ducking the drive, right?
Exactly.
So you've got a negative. Have you got a negative amount of?
Yes.
Right, okay.
You have. I set it to negative amount. You can have it positive also, but I really like it when you do this negative thing, so that it makes the sound punch.
It pumps as well. So it's almost like it's compressing without it being a compressor.
Yes.
Right. It's using the analog circuitry to soft clipping. I suppose.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
exactly. Yes. So basically, almost every parameter can be assigned to the envelope, and therefore it makes the machine alive with the sound that is receiving. It doesn't become a static thing, and I really like that about it. Yes. So let's have a look at the next character, which is called Rough Crunch. This is very...
Sounds like a biscuit.
Yes, it surely is a crunchy biscuit. So. And as you can hear,
Yeah, it's
got
more extreme, isn't it?
Yeah, and now it's getting a bit more gritty and gnarly. Nice flavor to the sound, I think.
And one thing I'm not noticing is any noise, or you're not getting that kind of associated hiss and that you would get.
Well, of course you are exaggerating the signal in the machine, but the noise levels, personally speaking, has not been bothering me at all when I'm using this. And this is an interesting thing you asked, because the other day when I was messing around with this heat in my studio with my friend said to me, "Oh, why don't you just have it on the highest gain setting and turn all the channels up on your mixer and see what you can do with the noise that you get from the machines." Even that was interesting.
Right.
When I started messing around with the filter and the LFO and the envelope, the noise coming from my mixer and all my machines kind of sounded better through this thing. And so now what I'd like to say is, again, after spending time with this for about a month or two now, I can't live without it, because whatever I want to record or produce needs to go through this
And obviously it doesn't all need to be this extreme.
Not at all.
On this side we're starting to get into the extreme
Yeah,
side.
and so with the dry and wet knob here, you can tune it in. So you go just the right amount, and with the filter you can tame the distortion that is happening. Yeah. So let's have a look at the next one, which is the classic dist, which this character affects the upper mid frequencies here. See, it's a bit more working on the higher end of the spectrum. But it's all very pleasing to the ear, I think it exaggerates the right type of harmonics in the sound, and you have the other goodies to mess around with, so it's quite a fun.
It really brings out that ride cymbal that I couldn't really tell was there on the clean one. It's really,
I mean, so maybe let's try the envelope follower on this. That's. Let's try the LFO. Actually, we haven't tried it. So the LFO, I'm gonna assign it to if the filter is getting affected. It's kind of similar to the other LFOs we have on our machines. It can go up to audio rates.
I like that. That's nice, isn't it?
I think this was very good. And of course, the LFO can be triggered with the envelope.
Oh, so you can have it almost one shot or reset. So
yes.
Reset.
So you can use the LFO as like another sort of envelope, actually. So it depends how you configure it.
What waves have you got? Have you got square in there, and what have you? Or what's the?
We have triangle, sine, square.
Oh, I love a bit of square wave. Can I have a bit of square wave on the filter?
Of course you can. Let's do that.
And I guess if you run that from the input, you could actually get that tempo syncing.
Yeah. Here we go. The LFO can be synced to your tempo incoming audio, or it can send clock, so you can sync it to. Ooh.
Almost ring mod, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And another trick that me and my colleague discovered recently is we assigned it to the low frequency of the equalizer. Let's see if it's gonna. Yeah, it's. Let's see here. I turned the LFO destination to the filter now, and I'm only using it for the low end of the equalizer. You can hear there's like a metallic tone to the.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
nice
for
thing.
all the fact that we're actually on a really extreme distortion setting, or one of the more extreme ones, it's actually there's quite a lot of subtlety there, right?
Yes, yes. And of course you can you have the option with this really awesome knob. You can always go back to the original sound without getting over carried and destroying your mix. Because I think that's something that people did worry about and comment about when they saw this box. Oh, okay, when I use this,
everything will be 11 always.
yes, and it's a nice thing to have. Yeah, I
Nice
think
to be
so.
able to-
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah.
So I know I mean, we've got a few more.
Yeah. Let's
go, so-
let's do that. So I will reset everything and turn the filter off. So now let's have a look at the round fuzz, which is the next one. This is, I think, the most interesting out of the bunch because it messes with the audio that I don't know how to explain it. So we have to hear it.
It's almost got ring mod built in. I mean, you get sometimes when you get extreme distortion, you do get a kind of ring modulation. Don't you? You get this kind of.
And just like having it at low drive and just having it at full wet, I mean, those metallic
that's
things.
really interesting.
What's happening there? It's again, it's a really interesting way to change whatever you're feeding into.
Spinning that off into a bit of triplet delay a bit as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, you know, I'm not using the filter or the equalizer or anything now, and the sound is already interesting. So when I add the other things in the mix, it's very interesting. Let's go to the final one, which is the high gain, which is the.
This is just everything. And,
Yeah, it's the.
I can imagine this might be the most extreme because
Yes.
it's the furthest round.
Yeah, and it's the mother of destruction, basically. I mean, that's seriously nice, I think. Especially when you filter it down and maybe use the. So let's bring in the envelope too. Set it to follower. Okay. That is sweet. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the original one, and now I've got like this beast. You know, it's.
Yeah.
Maybe use the other-
So we got LFO, we got stereo thing. Is there any? I mean, it seems like tremolo or auto pan that you can do with that.
You can do tremolo if you assign the LFO to the preset volume, but for stereo, not right now. But who knows what the future will hold? I can't comment on that right now.
Because
but
I guess the
can
thing
say-
is, we've got like with a lot of new breed analog synthesizers, we've got analog circuitry digitally controlled, and that's the nub of it. Is that allows you to do some of these interesting things, right?
Exactly. So we have the digital side of it, as you say, and and who knows what other things may pop up. I am not promising anything, but I totally agree. It would be great to see the left and right being used in different ways, like panning and other things.
So I mean, that's beats into it. You had a nice little pad before we started filming. You had this really nice pad, which just because that's something that I think is overlooked a little bit. A little bit of extra dirt and dry and burn, I suppose, is kind of what you're.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I think the pad we were messing around was this one here, and I think we changed the tune a bit. The fader is assigned to the tuning of the. This is something that I would listen to at home for hours, actually. And so what I'm doing here now, it's on active, and it's on fully dry. So no matter what I do, it won't be heard. I'm showing this to you because this is how I am planning to use it alive, when I'm actually allowed to take it alive. Right now I'm not. So that I would set it up the way that I want to sound, because you have really cool direct controls, the most prominent ones. So I want a bit of drive. I want the wet level to be like this, and then I could start feeding it in. Yeah. And of course, you could start using the filter, maybe use the band pass here.
It starts to sound like it's phasing, isn't it?
You can actually use it as like a phaser, which is a very good that you mentioned. We have the band reject here. So now I can actually assign the filter to the LFO and slow the LFO down. Yeah, some interesting things always happens with this box, and no matter what I feed through it, I always get some result that I didn't expect. And it's very inspiring.
I mean, you can store these things, right? It's
of
got
course.
presets, so
you have presets. I have lots of things that I saved during my time of using. Although, if you ask me, it's so easy to use this once you understand this section, but this section here is anybody uses it in like 5 minutes. It's so hands-on that I didn't find myself relying on presets. On the other machines I did, I was like, oh yeah, I want to save that kit, I want to save that.
So, I mean, one thing I've got to ask, obviously with this being just, we're sending line level into it at the moment. I mean, have you got a mode where you can feed instrument level into it, like a guitar or, you know, or mic level? I mean, have you got the ability to do that as well?
In the options menu here, you have the input sensitivity, where you can get the inputs more sensitive.
Right.
So you can feed, you know, other stuff that is like has got a lower volume for more dynamic stuff.
And it tells you too high. That's right.
Yeah.
But the other thing about this, obviously, it's got a USB audio interface, isn't it? So I mean, this is one of the other things. You can use it effectively as your analog audio interface for recording stuff in,
that's right.
and play out.
Yes, that's you can do that, and we'll come to that. You have the Overbridge, of course. We'll come to that, but I wanted to show you a few other examples as well, like see what can be done with it. Let's see. Let's turn everything to neutral. You see, I don't need to mess around with the presets.
Just done it, yeah.
So I know
just
what
start
is
from scratch.
Yeah, it's so. Let's see. How about not that one? Yeah. You were just saying too high. So adding a bit of dirt to that sound. And you can maybe assign like
Is that envelope following then? Yes. So we're getting kind of almost like a wah.
Yeah, you can do all these stuff, or maybe more extreme stuff. Or let's have a look at, for example, something stereo that is like kind of panning around, which I think is this one. So you got like a bit of delay on the sides. Let's try something more extreme now. So just that.
It's extreme, but you're not using a full mix of it. You're just using a touch.
The dry and wet knob here it's the thing that I think is very important for this machine. That really gives that edge without destroying the mix. Maybe try a different circuit here. Maybe a different one, maybe enhancement here.
Oh, that's nice. That sets it, doesn't it? Yeah. It really enhances the bottom end of a lot of this stuff, doesn't it?
And let's have a look at this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody put your hands in the air right there,
oh
please.
dear, what's happening?
So you're going to really... So now you sound like a power-crazed DJ who's driving the 2-bus too hard, right?
Yeah, you can name it that way. Yeah, you can... So it works in this concept a lot, I think. And maybe use a round pass. I mean, it just goes crazy now, basically. Let's use the envelope. Let's make it really snappy.
Wow, that's distressing. That sounds like Apollo 13 has just taken off, right?
Or landing.
Well, yeah. Well, what's the new one now? It's not that, is it? It's the Elon Musk space system. But yeah, wow.
Yeah. Let's try maybe feeding a guitar through it.
I guess this will be the kind of, people will understand the sort of notion of drive with this a little more.
And again, with the envelope follower, you can maybe use it as like a...
Good to see you doing warm-mouth there, Cenk.
Need that sometimes. Cheer it up a bit. Yeah, so you can use it for guitar, or let's do high gain, let's go crazy. Yeah, so it works like that. And maybe double bass. This is the original sound. And somehow this unit works really well with bass instruments, I think. And the envelope follower is still active, so I'll turn that off for now. Yeah, it's turned into like a guitar now or something.
The thing that's interesting about this is even with extreme drives, it seems to handle the space between the notes well, so you're not getting that mess. It's quite neat and tidy.
Yeah. And you would think by looking at this unit, it's just going to mess up the sound, but it kind of it messes up in a way that it doesn't mess up the room, you know, it's still nice, I think, yeah. Yeah, and yes, what else we have, let's see. Oh, we can't leave this section without doing a bit of 303 bass line, can we?
No, I guess not.
Here we go. Okay, so let's try with the saturation here now.
I mean, you might not pick this up in the room, but immediately there's this sort of sub just arrived.
And maybe I can enhance it more with the low here. And what's cool is now I can start using the envelope follower with the filter.
It changes the emphasis of it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's try a different circuit enhancement here. It almost sounds like the Devilfish mod on a 303 that's added afterwards, you know. Yeah, whatever I put into this machine, it just sounds more exciting. It gives that extra edge, I believe.
So is this your new secret weapon, you think, live?
Yeah, I just can't wait to use it live. And one of the things that I really look forward to is using is that I have the Octatrack as the master, and I'm sure a lot of viewers do use it like that. The Q outputs of the Octatrack is going to go into the inputs of the heat. So by pressing Q and number of tracks, you see them flashing now.
Right.
That means that only those tracks will be sent into the Q.
So you can use it like an effects set, a bus set, right?
Exactly. And I've been testing that. That is so really cool. It's like, for example, I have like rhythm coming into the inputs, and I'm like, okay, I want to distort the rhythm now. I press Q and the track that the inputs are assigned to, and it's running in here. While the other sounds are like clean and punchy, I don't want them to mess up. But then I could say, okay, I want to have the rhythm clean and the rest of them messed up. So I
just flip it around.
And it works so interesting. And it just gives me another dimension to the sound that I can
So, I mean, in terms of, are all of these controls MIDI controllable? Can you automate that kind of thing? You can do all of that
very
stuff.
good point. Yes, all of these is MIDI controllable from for example, the Octatrack can MIDI send MIDI CC into it. You can even automate the character, so each step can have a different character.
Okay. Because it's analog, I guess it switches super fast. There's no.
Yes, there isn't much delay, but you know. Yeah, you can experiment with it.
You're going to get a little bit of a snap because there's
which you
different
do when
electronics.
yeah, because it's analog. So there is that to consider. But however, you know, it's going to give you interesting results, maybe unexpected even, or maybe it's not going to work. You're going to have to experiment and find out for yourself. So all is MIDI CCable, and very important, you have two control inputs for CV, expression pedal, or a foot switch. And you can assign it to almost any parameter on.
Can you see people, maybe guitarists getting into this and using it with floor control? I mean, you know, right? Like, I guess you could use a sound control and you'd have a wah. You know, you could make
Absolutely.
it do that.
You can have an expression pedal, and you can assign it so that the expression pedal controls the filter.
Right.
Or maybe the envelope amount, or maybe the LFO amount. It's totally up to you, and I think it will give quite an edge to instruments, stylists, people playing instruments.
I guess the difficulty with something like this is everything always sounds better in a different way. It's not always what you would want for every track, but choosing where to use it is probably the hardest thing to deal with, right?
And the thing is, as far as I've experienced with this thing, I can use it in multiple ways. Just like I've been showing to you on like just bits and bits of different hardware gear, or I can use it in a computer setup where with Overbridge. Yeah, so I can drag and drop into VSTI plugins, your Ableton.
Right. So this is joining the kind of Overbridge family as another member, which allows you to use it as a USB audio interface and a kind of analog plugin, effectively.
Yeah,
for your,
it's an
we better take a look at that.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. But one thing I wanted to say is that another way that I like using is like giving the extra oomph to your master track. Let's say you recorded a track in stereo from your machines or whatever computer, and you could just use the heat, have it on clean boost, and enhance it with the drive and the equalizer, and maybe with the envelope, give it a bit of ducking effect that I was showing you before. You can really give that extra oomph to the sound. And let's have a look at that now. So I have the Analog Heat Overbridge plugin here. As with the other Overbridge plugins, you can control all the aspects either using your mouse or your own
all the controls on the unit, right?
Yes, yeah. So it's quite handy to have it like that, because now what this means is you have an analog stereo sound processor inside your DAW in VSTI and AU format, and you could drag and drop after your plugins, your recordings, or your inputs coming from your different sound cards or other things, and you can also use it at the master output, which is very cool. Not to forget to mention is Analog Heat can also be used as a sound card. So what I can do is I can connect the USB output into the computer, and the input coming in will be sent clean.
So available as inputs, right?
Yes, input into the DAW. Then on the incoming audio track channel on the DAW, I can drag and drop the Heat plugin, and I can affect it like that. So it's basically a sound card with analog processing of the 8 different analog circuits: analog filter, analog overdrive, LFO filter.
Right. So and this will work in the Overbridge way. So if you had a rhythm and analog 4, they would aggregate together and become, swap, mix and match, right?
Yes, okay, and it works really well actually like that. But enough talking. Let's see the plugin in action. So I have a basic project here, which has got 3 tracks. So I've got a bass line and a melody, and I have a reactor plugin here, which is like the Limelight. This is one of my favorite drum machines from the past actually. Before I had access to Elektron gear, I was using this a lot. Anyway, so let's press play and see the plugin in action. Here we go.
So, you get live metering.
Yeah, you do. And then you could see how the audio is being changed. So let's turn the effect on, and so I am using the Heat plugin on the drum track after the reactor plugin. So as I exaggerate the signal, you can see that it's showing what is being changed to the sound. I can actually use the filter maybe too. And maybe let's use the envelope follower as usual.
So you could be recording all this as automation presumably as well? Yeah?
Yes, you can automate all these parameters. You can record it as audio back into it, all that stuff.
So I'm guessing, just on a simple level, you can whip through and just go crazy and then cut up the audio that you recorded and turn that into kind of turnarounds and fills and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly,
just on a basic level, right?
Yes. So imagine that I was recording and I've got this kind of like ducking effect now going on. And I could tune it in and play around with it and just pick out the bits that I like.
So really can you record the affected audio?
Yes, of course you can. Right. The audio comes into the Heat, and I'm back into the computer for recording or further processing. Another cool thing that I'd like to mention is I can add different effects before or after the Heat plugin. So let's see, I can drag and drop reverb, for example.
So it's like an analog insert, I suppose, right?
Yes. I could say I want the Heat before the compressor now. And there you go, it's there. So it's like an analog plugin living inside your DAW, and I think that's a pretty cool way to work.
Obviously, you can only do one instance at a time.
Of course,
Unless you have more.
Unless you have
More, right. Hang on.
you need 8 of these. So any parameter that I adjust here gets represented on the screen, like the equalizer, change the circuits. And you know, I could record all this one is happening, and some cool things are happening or bad things are happening. It's just up to the user. Change the LFO characters and all sorts. And what else we could do now is maybe drag and drop the heat plugin to the master output of this song that I have here, and use it like a.
So you've got that across the drum. So will that then override the one that's? So if you then drag it to the master, it will just go, okay, this is the active one.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
You can have it like that also, but in this case, I just use one-to-one plugin. I just drag and drop, and so I want to reset everything and set it up like this, so it's like neutral. So we press play. So everything is clean now, but I just want to enhance the audio, give it a bit of punch with the clean boost. And let's turn up the plugin also at the same time.
So this is like a sort of master bus enhancement.
You can use it in that way, yes.
It really thickens up that bottom end, doesn't it?
It does. And you know, you have the envelope to give that ducking effects. Let's try using that. And just for the kick frequencies, let's try using that. You can hear it now. It's like
just pinching it.
Yeah. Of course, you can go overboard easily, but the controls are so fine so that you can find your liking and maybe use it. Let's try using the enhancement circuit here.
Yeah, you can hear a different flavor, can't you?
Yeah. And of course, with the dry and wet, you can tune it to how much you want, and you could just record it in full wet and then decide how much you want of both of them.
Right.
And you know, record multiple takes of multiple characters, and have a fine balance of it. So that's quite a cool way to maybe give an extra punch to your songs.
So I mean, you know, the thing about this is there's a lot of analog electronics in it. I mean, we do know about Elektron gear. You know, it's at the higher end of the spectrum. It's not, you know, the cheapest gear in terms of cost. But it does give you something. I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else that does anything like this? That's the thing I'm trying to think. What's it like? What's it? You know, what does it actually cut up against?
I think if you ask me, I would say Culture Vulture comes to mind.
So sort of high-end boutique studio electronics.
I think it's in that area, and you have the Elisa products like the Character, and the other products that they have, and when I look at the market, and we've been looking at it, and this is kind of like a bit unique right now because. You have the distortion, the filter, the envelope, the equalizer, the LFO, and the Overbridge plugin, and also it can be used as a sound card also, which that's something that I would like to quickly show before we...
I guess the sound card side, that's what, 48 or 96? What's the?
It's a 48 kilohertz with 24
bit, right? Okay.
So here we have the cute little.
The pocket operator.
Here we are, yes.
Keeping it in the same country.
Yes, for the nice peeps back home.
Okay. So that's now running as an input, okay?
Yeah, it is. It's running as an input, and let's hear it. So here it is, and so it's now off, and I could see that it's coming in here as an input.
Right.
And because I have the plugin on this track, I can start activating it. So I can go in here and then say active. And here you go, the sound is getting enhanced and maybe distorted. Let's add some dirt and drive. And maybe this is too much drive now. But let's change it to this. And yeah.
So could you record that affected sound now? You just say, right, just as it is.
You can record that, yes. You can record also the dry and the wet at the same time. It's, so it gives you a lot of ways to accept incoming audio into your DAW. You know, this could have been a different drum machine. It could have been your mixer outputs from your studio, anything. So it's great to say that this also functions as a sound card, as well as an analog stereo sound processor. you know, your DAW, mastering units. Yeah, it has quite a lot of tricks under the sleeve.
So Analog Heat, available now, or by the
Yes.
time we watch this video.
Yes, it's available.
And prices will scroll below. We hesitate to quote because we're filming this a little ahead of time, and the exchange rates are kind of crazy, right?
Yes,
so
yes. It's
you'll
best to say that.
be able to see that here. Available everywhere. I mean, you do sell stuff direct from the website as well, don't you?
Yeah,
Is this
we sell direct from the websites, or we have, you know, a lot of retailers around the world. So if you really want to get your hands on it, you just have to ask your local dealer, and it's very likely that they will get it in for it. And I think that it is really worth checking it out, even if you're not interested in distortion unit. And personally, I'd like to say again, when I first heard the idea of this, I was like, distortion unit, I'm not so into it. But now, when I've been using it for a month or two, I can't live without it. And I'm not saying because I work for Elektron. This is my honest truth. This is my honest opinion.
Right. Well, Cenk, thank you so much for coming
Thank
to
you
show
very
us.
much.
I think we're going to populate the table with a few
Yes.
more things, and you're going to play us out with a little bit of what you do so well.
Yes, that would be great.
That's it. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
See you later.
Bye.